great afternoon, everybody. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. As you're coming in the room, say hello. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Lunchtime Empowerment Talks with Dr. Vaughn. I am Dr. Shavonna Whitehead, and it's always my privilege, my honor, and my pleasure to come and hang out with you right here every Tuesday at 1 p.m. So come on in the room. Say hello as you're coming in. Hey, Nella, come on in the room. And if you have not already done so, please like and share this. Please like and share this. I do realize that it's been a couple of weeks. I have missed you all. It's been a couple of weeks, but listen, God was preparing us and leading us up to the Restore Your Roar experience, which was last weekend, May the 19th through the 21st. And my God, did God blow our minds in the room. And so then last week we had to take time and recover. We literally had to take time and recover. So we missed a couple of weeks, but guess what? We are back right here for Lunchtime Empowerment Talk so that we could actually push and empower you and strengthen you, just to give you that little extra oomph to keep going. And I don't know. Listen, Deanna, he did. I don't know if you actually saw our topic for today. Our topic for today is just an overflow of us. You just had, hey, Miss Charlene, how are you? You had to be in the room last weekend. Don't worry. And if you weren't in the room on last weekend, guess what? You can, me and my team and I are preparing for the Restore Your Roar Experience 2024. So don't worry. We are not done yet. Hey, Janae, how are you? So I don't know if you saw our topic for today, and it was simply pressure did me a favor. And I know you're probably saying, Dr. Vaughn, what in the world do you mean by pressure did me a favor? Pressure did me a favor. I know most of us don't like the pressure. We don't like to be crushed. We don't like to be pushed. We don't like to be frustrated. We don't like anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. We do not like anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. But somebody just needs to type before we even start in the comments, pressure did me a favor. Pressure did me a favor. Yep, pressure did me a favor. And if you know me, you always know that God kind of deals with me in words, but then he also deals with me in illustrations. And so the first thing he did was he had me to go and actually pull in the pressure cooker. What is the job of a pressure cooker? Many of us who are cooks, we know what pressure cookers does. So listen to this. It says a pressure cooker works on a simple principle. Look at this, just a simple principle. Steam pressure. Steam pressure. It's a sealed pot with a lot of steam inside that builds up to high pressure, and it helps cook the food faster. A pressure cooker is sealed. It's a sealed pot with a valve that controls the steam pressure inside. So can we pull out a few words out of there? Y'all know I like to make it make sense. Can we pull out a few words out of there? Steam. Steam is a vapor that water produces when it's heated. Can I say it one more time? Steam is a vapor that water produces when it's heated. Oh, let me say it one more time for the people in the back. Steam is a vapor that water produces when it's heated. So the steam that actually is needed for the pressure cooker is not produced until it's heated. The steam that is needed for the pressure cooker is not produced until it's heated. What are you saying, Dr. Vaughn? There are certain things in our lives that will not be produced until you get in a heated situation. There are certain things in certain seasons of our lives that won't come to fruition without a heated situation. There are certain things that are not going to catapult, spring up, grow, or stretch without a heated situation. And so when we're talking about this whole pressure thing, the first component is steam. Here's the second thing, sealed. Sealed is defined as to fasten or secure. This pressure cooker, which houses the steam that has been heated, now is sealed. It is fastened closed so that what's inside of it can cook well and cook fast. Oh, help me, God. Here it is. This pressure cooker is sealed and it's fastened, which means it is closed and it's sealed so that what's inside of it can cook well and cook fast. What are you trying to say? Sometimes you have to realize that not only will it require some heated situations in your life, you got to realize that sometimes you got to be closed up with the heat. Oh, hey, Nera. Sometimes you got to be closed up with the heat. Sometimes we are trying to ask God to pray us out of the heat. We're trying to ask God to pray us out of the fire. We're trying to ask God to pull us out. But sometimes you have to realize that just like a pressure cooker, the stuff in the inside can't get done till you seal the actual pressure cooker so that the heat inside the pressure cooker can rise and cook it well. Oh, it's a heated situation. It's a heated situation. But many of us, when we get into these heated situations, when we get in, what is a heated situation, Dr. Vaughn? When we get into these financial crises, when we get into health challenges, when we get into challenges in relationships, when we get into challenges with our children, when we get into ministry confrontations, when we get into job deprivation, they are heated situations, and sometimes we actually have been prone. It's the natural human component to actually begin to pray that God would deliver instead of asking God to actually give me the strength to maintain the heated situation. What would happen if we actually ask God to actually not just deliver me from the heat, but actually let the heat do what it need to do? Let the heat do what it need to do. And many of us have to face the fact, oh my God, I got another word. I got two more words, but many of us have to face the fact that the heated situation is necessary. Let's go to the next word. Then out of this whole definition comes the word faster. When you're talking about a pressure cooker moves at a higher speed and it moves ahead of normal time. Help me, God. Okay, let me say it again because maybe that didn't make y'all excited. The word faster means to move at a high speed, but then it also means to move ahead of time. I know. Savior God. I said somebody has to realize that the heat that God is raising up is because some of us are behind time. So now he's about to send us ahead of time. Some of us have been delayed. Some of us have been questioning ourselves. Some of us have been doubting what's in us. Some of us have been settling for what we don't deserve. Some of us have been chameleons. We've been changing to match what people wanted, and we have not been embracing who God called us to be. So some of us have been delayed in walking in our true identity. Some of us have been delayed in walking in our true purpose. Some of us have been delayed in walking in the authority that God has given us. So now God is not only speeding up, but he's going to actually move me ahead of normal time. So what would have taken 6 years, God gonna do it in 6 months. Okay, maybe y'all ain't got no crazy faith. That's the kind of season I'm living in with God. I am believing God that there are some things that I know I set on way too long, but though the formula say that it may take 5 or 6 years, I'm believing that God would do it in 5 or 6 months. Okay, why? Because the pressure is doing me a favor. Okay, the pressure is doing me a favor. Here's another word: control. When we're talking about the pressure cooker is controlled. The pressure is controlled. That means it's deliberate and intentional. I can't hear nobody but God. I said the pressure is deliberate and intentional. This ain't happening by accident. They didn't stop talking to you by accident. It ain't by accident you find out they're not really happy for you. It's not by accident that it seems like the job is starting to act crazy when you starting to open up the business. It's not by accident that all of a sudden you can't sleep at night because you keep saying, I'm not going to do this because nobody's going to support me. It's not by accident. It's intentional. God needs to get your attention. It's not by accident that the finances are going crazy because God needs to let you know that he is the ultimate provider, and what he's about to do, you're not going to be able to take credit for it, because you're not going to be able to say I had the money to do it. You're going to have to say it was nobody but God. You're going to have to say that God supplied all of my needs. You're going to have to be able to say God did it again. You're going to have to be able to say that God was the only one. So this has to be deliberate and intentional. Okay. Oh God Almighty. This has to be this control is deliberate and intentional. So when we're talking about this pressure cooker, we are talking about that there is a steam that is produced because there's a heated component that's happening inside. Then I am sealed. The heat is sealed in because the heat can't seep out, because when the heat seeps out, it changes the temperature in the inside. Oh God. I said when the heat seeps out, when you let the heat seeps out, the temperature in the inside changes. Oh, when you allow the heat because you want to get out of it and you let that heat seep out, it changes the temperature in the inside, and it alters what God needs to do in you. So you have to be able to understand the heat is deliberate and intentional. There is something that can only be produced in you when the heat is underneath of you is now. Come on here. I can't hear nobody. I can't hear nobody. Hey, Patricia, how are you? Hey, Gerald. I can't listen. God. Okay. What you saying? Okay, let me prove it to you. Pressure produces personal growth. Some of you have to understand that if you were not pressure where you were doubting your ability and doubting what God placed in you. So sometimes you have to be put in that pressure cooker because God got to raise the heat. You've been wasting too much time. He got to go ahead of time now. He got to go, yeah, the heat been raising because he ain't got time to wait on you no more. He don't have time for you to second guess it no more. Because guess what? When you're in a heated situation, you don't have time for excuses. When you're in a heated situation, you got to make a decision right now. When you're in a heated situation, you don't have time to wait 30 days to make a decision. When you're in a heated situation, so that's why God has to heat things up, because right now he has to do something in you right now. Somebody need to type it. He's doing something in me right now. Somebody just typed in the comments. He's doing something for me right now. He's doing something for me right now. And so pressure produces personal growth. But here's another thing. Pressure produces confidence. Woo, God. Pressure produces confidence. I'm gonna use my one of my big sisters on here, Geraldine. I'm gonna use her for a second. Okay. Everybody knows that Gerald is a model. Everybody knows also that Gerald has an ostomy bag. But here it is. Pressure will cause a level of confidence inside of you that what was meant to hinder you now becomes the very thing that has the ability to shift the very trajectory of your life and catapult you forward. So when you talk about pressure, pressure pushes you past your own mindset. Pressure pushes you past your limitations. Pressure pushes you past your thoughts of you. Pressure pushes you back against social stigmas. Pressure pushes you against the ideals of others. So what you have to understand, oh God, what you have to understand is sometimes pressure has to put you in a place where you look at your deficit as something that was destined to take you to the place that God purposed for you. But we have help me, God, I'm out here now. Oh God, help me. But we have failed at this because we figure out that if we have an issue, we have a shortcoming. If we stutter, we got an ailment, we got a limp, we don't have the degrees, we don't have all the money, we might have a dirty past, or we might have been in an abusive situation, or we might. Sometimes we look at all of those things as negatives in our lives. But how many of you know that sometimes when you get a jump start, it's the connection of the negative and the positive that gives the power. God almighty, I'm out here. Oh God, I'm out here. It's the connection of the negative and the positive that gives the car the power. So what are you saying, Dr. Vaughn? You have to realize that this pressure is actually connecting to something so that it can produce power inside of you. Okay. Okay. I'm out here. I'm out here. Okay. Here's another thing. Okay. Pressure. Come on, Jesus. Oh God. Pressure also produces skill. Because when you are under pressure, you tend to step up to challenges that you would normally avoid. Let me say it again. Pressure also produces skill because, oh, help me, God. It produces skill because when you're under pressure, you tend to step up to challenges you would usually avoid. What are you saying, Dr. Vaughn? Some of you don't tap into your whole strength until you don't have no choice but to tap into it. So when the pressure actually raises up underneath of you, the skill in you that's been in you all the time, it was lying dormant. The skill is not created, the skill is released. Come on here. I can't hear nobody. The skill is not created, the skill is released because God already put it inside of you. But the pressure, the heat was what actually produced it to actually come forward. It was already in you. And so when the pressure started to rise, that skill was unlocked because now you had no other choice. You had no other choice. Ah, oh, okay. Okay. Let me don't get stuck there. Okay. You had no other choice because some of us, because of our insecurities, some of us, because of past failures, some of us, because of people, some of us, because of our history, some of us, because of our lineage. Some of us don't believe that we have the power in us to do what it is God told us to do. So sometimes the pressure has to be ignited at such a temperature that you have no other choice but to tap into what He already placed inside of you and do what you need to do. This ain't the time to worry about whether or not they like it. This is not the time to worry about whether or not they will support. This is not the time to worry about whether or not you're going to fall. This is not the time to worry about if you're going to repeat the season of 5 years ago. This is not the time to wallow in your tears or whatever. This is not the time to be woe is me. This is the time when the pressure rises up. This is a do or die situation. I got to make a decision now and I got to do what He told me to do. So pressure. Okay. 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 Let me get out of there. Here's another thing. Uh, uh, hmm. Pressure also releases a level of strength that can only come with heat. Pressure releases a level of strength that can only come with the heat. What do you mean, Dr. Vaughn? Things get unbearable. Sometimes the strength you need will only come when things get unbearable. Sometimes the strength that you need will only come when things get unbearable. Because as long as things are comfortable, come on, can we be real and testify for a moment? As long as things are going the way we want them to, as long as things are going fairly well, as long as we're able to do things and it ain't too uncomfortable, as long as we are able to actually function, many of us will stay content and settle for the functionality of what has become normal. I'll say it again. Many of us will become content and settle for the functionality of what's become normal. I'll say it one more time. Many of us will settle and become content with the functionality of what we have made normal. And we won't push past it. And so sometimes the actual pressure has to rise so you can tap into that strength to realize where you are and where you're supposed to be. Okay, I'm talking to somebody. Where you are is not where you're supposed to be. There is another place that's waiting for you. But the problem is you've gotten so comfortable in where you are that the actual thought that you may be challenged to embrace something new and unfamiliar scares you. So you would rather settle for the functionality of where you are, even though you know it has not fulfilled you. Come on, God. You will settle even though you know it has not fulfilled you because you're scared about what may be. And so sometimes the pressure and the fire has to come so that you can actually activate a strength. All right. Here's the next thing. The pressure also has to come so that you can learn what God is capable of. Oh, come on here. I said the pressure also has to come so you can learn what God is capable of. I told you it's deliberate and intentional. Some of you have been okay with the surface level of knowing God. You've become okay with the surface level of knowing God. However, God wants you to know the height and the depth of Him. He wants you to go deeper. He wants you to know him more intimately. And sometimes the pressure and the heat has to come so that you can actually learn what God is really capable of. Because here's the thing, my grandmama used to say it all the time. I would not know God to be a healer if I never got sick. I would not know God to be a deliverer if I never was bound. I would not know God to be a provider if I was never in a need. I would not know God to be a friend if I never suffered betrayal in friendship. I would never know the very unconditional love of God if I never struggled with my heart being broken. Okay. Okay. So sometimes the pressure and the heat actually comes so that you can learn and understand what God is capable of. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Somebody should just type, God take me deeper. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Somebody just need to declare that God take me deeper. Because we've been avoiding the deepness of God because the avoid the deepness of God means I avoid the accountability of God. To avoid the deepness of God means that I avoid the accountability of God. Here it is. Here's the next thing. Uh, Pressure also produces a level of faith that dispels fear. God Almighty. Pressure produces a level of faith that dispels fear. Pressure produces a level of faith that will dispel fear. And so some of us don't understand that the fire has to be ignited even higher because we need to be at a level of faith to actually trust God, to actually take us to see. We fear what God's promised us because what God promised us, we can't fathom in our minds. What God promised that He would do for us don't make sense. I can't hear nobody. What God promised us, we can't even see how He gonna make it work. What God promised us looks beyond our ability. What God promised us looks beyond our reach, and sometimes He has to make the pressure ignite such a way that it will activate a level of faith to dispel that fear. Because there is a place in God that you got to go. Guess what? It's not going to make sense. You ain't God. It may look impossible. You ain't God. It may look unreachable. You're not God. But if God gave you an assignment or God told you to do something, you have to allow that. Sometimes we'll sit on it. Come on here. Come on here. I'm talking to somebody here. Sometimes, God. Sometimes we will sit on the very thing that God told us to do. We will sit on it. I mean, we're sitting on it, rocking all the way. I mean, we're sitting and we're fearful to actually stand up and walk in what God said, because here's the thing. We have failed at other things, so we're scared to fail again. Mm. We have failed at other things, so we're scared to fail again. I said we have failed at other things, and so we're scared to fail again. And that level of fear sometimes cripples us, and we sit on things way longer than we should have ever sat on them. But I came by to tell somebody it's your responsibility to take step one. It's not your responsibility to know how the provision is going to come. It's your responsibility to prepare for the provision to come. It's not your responsibility to always have all the answers. It's your responsibility to trust God like you've never trusted before. It's not your responsibility to guarantee that it's going to be perfect. It's just your responsibility to show up. What am I trying to say? Because some of you have been beating yourself up so much because you failed at the last initiative. You failed at the last business. You failed at the last ministry endeavor. You failed at the last relationship. You failed at the last friendship. And that has crippled you into a mind that you're so fearful that you're going to fail again that you won't even try. But I came by to tell you, pressure did you a favor. The pressure that oh God Almighty, the pressure that is rising up in you now is very deliberate and intentional. Just like that pressure cooker, the pressure is combined to a space so the heat can't seep out, because the heat has the ability to actually cook you not just faster but ahead of time. The heat has the ability to not only cook you faster, but to actually cook you ahead of time. Some of you, we call it redeeming the time, you call it whatever you want to call it. But right here, you have to realize that this pressure is deliberate and intentional. This pressure is to shape you and to mold you. This pressure is to catapult you to where you need to be. This pressure is to shift your mindset and your understanding. This pressure is to make you actually walk in the footsteps that was already created for you. You do realize, just like the word says, the steps of a good man are ordered, which means the steps were already created. All you got to do is walk in them. Stop trying to create the step. You're trying to create steps that's more comfortable. You're trying to create steps that are easier. You're trying to create steps that make you more popular. You're trying to create steps that they're going to like you a little bit more, when God is saying, those are not the footsteps I created for you. I created you to ruffle feathers. I created you to go against the status quo. I created you. Oh, let me help somebody. I created you to be the first one to do it. Hello, I can't hear nobody but God. I created you to be the first one to do it. No, there is no blueprint. You are the blueprint. I created you to be the first one to do it. But no, you just want to mimic somebody else. No. God didn't cause us to mimic anybody. He gave each and every one of us a divine and ordained purpose and destiny, and it's your responsibility to walk in that. So sometimes the pressure comes because God got to get you from where you are to where you need to be, and sometimes He don't have a lot of time to do it. He been waiting long enough for you to do it, so now He got to speed up the process. Okay. I got one more thing. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out here. Let me get out here. Here's the thing. The next thing that pressure does, pressure allows for the demonstration of God's glory and His power. This is the last thing I'm gonna leave you with. Pressure allows for the demonstration of God's glory and its power. I'll say it one more time. Pressure allows for the demonstration of God's glory and its power. Sometimes it is the very pressure that pushes us up to see God. Oh, I want somebody to catch it in the spirit. Pressure is sometimes the very thing that pushes us up to see God. Because many of us, because of life situations, live our lives looking like this. Many of us, because of life circumstances, live our lives looking like this. And sometimes the pressure has to come for God's power and glory, because He has to push you up to look at Him. You can't get to where you need to be looking down here. You can't get to what God promised you looking down here. Because as long as you look down here, it's never going to make sense. As long as you look down here, you're never going to see where God is taking you. As long as you look down here, it's always going to look chaotic. As long as you look down here, it's always going to be uncomfortable. But sometimes the pressure has to push you up so you can see the power and the presence of God. So I know you want to despise the pressure. I know you hate the pressure. And for those of you that hopped on later, I gave some definitions in the beginning about the pressure cooker. I challenge you, rewatch it. Watch the replay, go back to the beginning, because I want you to get this. Pressure did you a favor. Pressure was not sent for your detriment. Did you a favor. Pressure positioned you for favor. Pressure became your favor. Oh my God, today. I'll say it again. Pressure did you a favor. Pressure positioned you for favor. And pressure became your favor. I'll say it again. Pressure did you a favor. Pressure positioned you for favor. And pressure became your favor. You're probably saying, Dr. Vaughn, how in the world how can pressure become my favor? Because if God trusts me enough with the heat and the pressure, and I can withstand the heat and the pressure, He can trust me with what the heat and pressure is producing. I'll say it again. If God can trust me with the heat and the pressure, then He can trust me with what the heat and the pressure is producing. So I just wanted to come to give you a perspective. Pressure did you a favor. Stop trying to pray your way out of pressure and pray, God, produce what I need with this pressure. Produce what I need with this pressure. And also, if you ever see a pressure cooker is not that big. And I'm gonna leave you with this because I'll get off on another thing. Everything can't go with you in the pressure cooker. Lean in, you hear me? Everything can't go with you in the pressure cooker. You can't overload the pressure cooker. You have to lay things in the Kata, heke, oh, 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 daba, yada, daba, sika. Hey, glory to God. Oh, listen, hey, listen, everything can't go in the pressure cooker. So you have to be careful what you place in a pressure cooker so that it cooks evenly. Everything has to go in the pressure cooker a certain way. That's right, Michelle, that you can't overload it. You can't overload the pressure cooker. So I'm trying to help somebody. I'm trying to help somebody. Be okay that you can't take them in the pressure. Be okay that you can't take them in the pressure because there's only certain level of capacity that a pressure cooker can hold so that it cooks the food properly. Some of you, where God is taking you, there's only a certain capacity. There's only a certain capacity of what you can take so that you can be properly prepared for where you're going. So, okay. Okay. So, okay, that is that is my little push for today. That is my little nudge that I wanted to drop off on you today. Listen, I am super excited. Me and God been just chilling and relaxing and everything. So I want you it again. If you hopped on late, I want you to actually go back to the beginning because I want you to get those definitions and break down actually the job of the pressure cooker, as well as there are 4 identifying words that are about a part of this journey. So I want you to get the whole meat of everything, and just trust the pressure. Pressure did me a favor. Pressure did me a favor. I smile at it now. Pressure did me a favor, and so I hope that you received something today that has pushed you, something that has strengthened you, something that has empowered you for today. And listen, if you have not already done so, go right down there to the bottom of the screen to www.shavonnawhitehead.com. Make sure you subscribe and stay connected to me. My team and I will be working on various things for the remainder of the year and into 2024. You do not want to miss it. You want to stay connected to us and be the first one to know. The email blasts go out to our subscribers first before we ever post it on social media. We also give various discount stuff to our subscribers for various events. And so listen, you want to subscribe at right down there, www.shavonnawhitehead.com, and make sure you stay connected. And if you are available tonight at 6 p.m., I will be doing a live sale for our t-shirts. Listen, we just want to make some room. We have some t-shirts left over from one of our last vending events. There are various sizes, but we want to get them out of the way and prepare for our new inventory. Are $25 a piece, but they will be $10 and $15 this evening plus shipping. So come on Facebook Live and enjoy and join me at 6 p.m. We'll probably only be on for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. But listen, I am so glad that you joined me today. Oh, Monday, I'm glad about it. I am so glad that you joined me today. And I hope that this has pushed you into a new place. This has pushed you and strengthened you. And guess what? Join me back here next Tuesday at what time? 1 p.m. as we see what the Lord will share with us on next Tuesday at 1 p.m. as we continue to stretch and to grow. Janella said, I'm still trying to recover. Well, I'm on a roll now, Janella. So let's get it. Let's get it. And so I love each and every one of you. Be sure, if you haven't already done so, do me a favor. It doesn't cost you anything. Do me a favor, like and share this, please. like and share this. We want to make sure that we empower, impact as many lives as possible. And if you are not already a part of our Manifesting More with Dr. Vaughn Facebook group, please join us in our Manifesting More with Dr. Vaughn Facebook group. We have an upcoming challenge that is coming, but you got to be a part of the group to find out what it is. So make sure you head on over there. Again, that's Manifesting More with Dr. Vaughn. I love each and every one of you. Have an amazing day on and in purpose. And I'll see you back here next week.